The 31st gene key. The transformational path of the 31st gene key moves from arrogance to humility, and it's the path of leadership. The 31st shadow. The 31st shadow is all about seeking recognition. That's it in a nutshell. And why do we seek recognition? It seems a very human thing to do. Nowadays you can see how this shadow has gained more momentum than ever through the internet and through social media, for example. Because the more unsure we are of ourselves, the more we look for affirmation from the outside. So now we have a generation of uneasy, insecure youngsters desperate to be recognised, and they don't even know what for. It's rare to find a young person these days who doesn't either want to be rich or famous. The unspoken question at the root of modern culture is, how can I feel secure? And yet, it's the wrong question. It's a question that only leads to sickness because it's the wrong question. The right question is, how can I best serve the whole? And yet that's a question that modern culture doesn't yet ask, at least not on a collective level. So we can see that the root of the shadow of arrogance is insecurity, individual insecurity. There are layers in every shadow. There's the traditional notion of arrogance, the egotistical kind of macho posturing. Look at me, I know best. The bullies. And the bullies are always the most insecure ones. That's the brute form of arrogant behaviour that we all know. But there are also subtle levels to this shadow, because there's also a spiritual arrogance. And spiritual arrogance is rooted in a deep belief system that we found the way, that our path is the best path, that those who don't know are in the shadow. And we see this a lot across the great religions, and we also see it in the New Age. We see it wherever there's a loss of touch with our essential humanity. Because to be human is to be fallible. And a lot of the time, it's to be wrong. To be human is to fall. To scale the heights, yes, but then also to plummet. And arrogance then is a kind of blindness that we all have. And we have it until life exposes it. And arrogance is especially tied to leadership. That's the gift of this gene key. So all people who have this gene key have some kind of potential as leaders, as influencers of culture. But they also all carry the seed of arrogance, because that's the shadow here. And to be arrogant is to act without realizing there are consequences. There are laws built into life. These are the laws of karma. Once you've acted or once you've spoken out, your action stands for eternity. That's why this gene key is part of the codon ring called the ring of no return, because every action carries karma. And arrogance always ends with some form of humiliation, so no one gets away. And that's why the dilemma here is choice, because when you act as though you're in charge of your destiny, you're going to be disappointed. There are forces beyond our lives that set the rules, that choreograph the tapestry of our lives. The Indians call this dharma, the unique flow and pattern of your destiny. And your dharma unravels as you live. And it brings you good fortune, but it also brings you challenges. And the only choice we have then is how we respond to our dharma. And when we act without integrity, out of insecurity, because we're trying to control our lives, then we're acting arrogantly. And some may say that this makes us seem powerless, that surely our destiny must be in our hands. Well, it is and it isn't. Our karma is in our hands. Our karma is how we respond to our dharma. And if we respond with cruel words, or with complaining or blaming or assuming a victim stance, then we create the very thing that we've put out. Whereas if we respond with acceptance, with love and with humility, then we create that energy in our environment. So the question is, who is choosing in your life? Are you the chooser? Do you make your life happen? And spiritually, this is a very subtle point. We say that we create our reality. Even I say that. You are the architect of your evolution. No, I say that often. But it's not wholly true. Sorry about that. I say it because it's the first stage in stepping out of victimhood, but it isn't the whole way. It's actually a pretty arrogant thing to say. You do have a say in the script, but you don't have a say in the storyline. That's why the dilemma is choice, because we have to learn to let go over and over again. And the thing life wants us to let go of is us. It's the you. It's the me. Arrogance is all about me. It's about caring what others think. It's about trying to please, or it's about trying to provoke. It's about attention. It's all me, me, me. There's a deep moral aspect in this gene key. It's actually really, really beautiful. It creates all kinds of leaders, from the shadow all the way up to the city. And the further the leader appears from being human, from being fallible, from being imperfect, the closer they usually are to the shadow. And this is how arrogance manifests, as people who behave as though they're beyond reproach, who are not able to see through their own behaviour honestly. Arrogance, it can't see itself without a breakthrough. It's blind. That's its core nature. The shadow programming partner here is this 41st shadow of fantasy. And arrogance lives in a world cut off from the human heart. You see this very clearly with certain spiritual people. And this is what's known as the spiritual mistake. When you get very fixated on the higher frequencies, those siddhis, and then you forget to bring them down into the form, into the mess of humanity. And that is the greatest challenge. That's what makes a great leader. It's not someone who's beyond us in a rarefied world of bliss and radiance. How can such a person be a role model? They can point to our eventual potential, but they can't really help us practically. Not if we can't relate to them. In a way, such people have moved beyond leading. So the spiritual mistake is to opt out by going for those higher frequencies and not then being able to integrate them in the world. That makes one spiritually arrogant. And in any teacher, you can sense automatically where they are on this spectrum. Humanity can feel humanity. So be aware and beware of the lure of the higher frequencies and those who claim them. Be inspired, absolutely. Let them lift you up and open your heart up to the greater potential. But maintain your connection to the human, to the mundane, to the grit. And of course, there are a very few people who have genuinely transcended the grit. But they're always the most human ones. So let's contemplate this dilemma of choice. You begin by feeling that you have no choice. You're a victim of your suffering. And then you decide that you do have choice, and you break out of that victimhood and you carve a new life for yourself, an empowered life. And then you come full circle to the realization that you have no individual choice, but that the whole is choosing through you, and that your only option is to surrender and keep opening to the unknown. And you can't skip the middle step. You can't go to the city straight from the shadow. You're suffering, so you escape into the higher realms. It's just an escape, that kind of arrogance, that spiritual arrogance. But this is shadow, gift, city. You only get to the city by beginning with the shadow and working deeply into it. So find the place where you are arrogant. Find your blind spot and listen to your life. It will tell you where it is, because it will arrange a humbling for you. The 31st gift, leadership. So the true leader, what makes the true leader? Let's contemplate that. Well, humanity, vulnerability, but vulnerability as strength with awareness. And what other qualities are essential here for the true leader? Also I'd say patience, one of my favorites. You need to be patient with yourself to move through your own arrogance and discover the true meaning of humility. That takes patience. It also takes courage. So courage is another quality of leadership. But this isn't the courage to run headlong at the enemy or to do something externally impressive. It's the inner courage to stay absolutely centered in your own truth, in the truth of your heart, even when others may not understand and they may project all kinds of things onto you. It's about standing firm in your own self-love. You know, it's virtually impossible to see your own arrogance. I truly believe it is. And what I mean is that you can't go looking for it. You can try, but your ego won't let you see it. It's easy to see other people's arrogance, but our own? No, not a chance. The only way you're going to see it is by making a mistake. You have to fall. And this is what this gene key is all about. It's about learning humility. It's about learning to fall with grace. That's what makes a good leader, at least in my eyes. I'm not so impressed by the impeccable saint. I'm more impressed by the fallen saint who's picked himself up after he's fallen and still keeps his heart open. Those are the leaders. Those who can fall and then lift themselves back up again. That takes a special kind of strength. It's the path of a true human being. You know that wonderful poem by Rudyard Kipling? It's called If. I have it here. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph with disaster, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. And he goes on, and it ends, if you can do all of that, then the world is yours. And that's what I'm talking about here. Leadership requires you stick your head out, up above the parapet, and you face the stuff that others throw at you. You trust in your own inherent virtue. That's the 31st gift. And the greater the challenge that life throws at you, the greater your potential for transmutation is. You have to remember that the programming partner of the 31st gene key is the 41st gene key. And the 41st gene key is unique. It's where all great new breakthroughs hurtle out of the void into the world. So these two gene keys are all about bringing the new into the world. And the new always meets resistance. It isn't always recognized in its own time. So if you have this 31st gene key in your profile, then you will have to face these things in your life. Leadership sounds all very impressive, but it comes with a great responsibility. And nowadays there are all these people out there telling us we're all leaders. You know, all these leadership courses and trainings and conferences, it's a big buzz. Everyone wants to be a leader. But the truth is that true leaders are rare. This is not everyone's calling. The true leaders, at least the new leaders, they're forged by life. This isn't something you decide. It's something that's thrust upon you. It's something that your Dharma decides long before you became an adult. To be a spokesperson of the new, you'll have to learn the language of the old. And you can't throw the old away. Many new thought leaders have tried that, and it never works. Those are our revolutionaries. Leadership has great respect for the past, for tradition, and for the ancient ways, but it also brings a new perspective with it. Leadership grafts the new onto the ancient rootstock. And this is wisdom in action, to use the lessons of everyday life as a means to resolve the deeper questions that haunt us. Why things happen in certain ways, why fate sometimes deals us a challenging card out of the blue. And the true leaders, they've lived these trials. They continue to live them and learn from them. Yes, the true leaders are the most human people among us. They aren't unreachable. They aren't ungraspable. They're here on the ground among us. That's real leadership. The 31st city. Humility. Do you think you know what true humility is? It isn't what you think. It's not about self-effacement. It's not about hiding your ego. It's about egolessness. And what does it mean to transcend the ego? Is that something only great masters and saints can do? Not at all. It's something life leads us to when we surrender deeply enough. Life will strip you to the bone when you follow your destiny without question, when you submit to your dharma. The city is not about self-empowerment. The city is all about surrender. And surrender isn't just bowing before an altar. Surrender it's kind of hardcore. It's about letting go of all definitions of yourself. So at the gift level, we play the game of self-empowerment. We become righteous. We try to live with integrity. But the city demands an extra leap. It demands that we even drop our sense of external goodness. It demands that we step out of the game of good and evil. It may even ask us to play the very role we fear the most. Think about Judas. History has branded Judas the betrayer. He betrayed Jesus for money. That's a heavy burden, to be the one who betrays the Son of God. And yet imagine this. Imagine if Judas were utterly aware. Imagine if he knew that was his role. Maybe he loved and trusted in Jesus so much that he gave himself up to that role. Maybe his trust in God was even greater than Jesus's. Am I being sacrilegious? The point is that we don't know. But if this were the case, then Judas would be the humblest man who ever lived. To play such a role and be remembered as the worst betrayer, but to know that inside he would never ever choose such a thing, that's humility. To let others think what they will, but to know your own heart above all else. And I'm not saying, by the way, this is how it was. I'm just taking a charged example as a metaphor, an allegory, to demonstrate what true humility looks like. And the Christians, in fact, have a very beautiful term, penance. It comes from repentance, to be sorry for our sins. And the penitent one willingly receives the Dharma and lets it purify and absolve him or her. And in Hinduism, a similar thing is known as tapas, which has multiple translations, one of which is penance. So life brings you these golden opportunities to surrender your attachments. You're asked to surrender your goals, your views, the very constructs of your identity. And the beauty is that life brings you to this if you're listening. Only if you're listening. And most people aren't able to surrender at that level to the external drama. Most people are caught in the net of the drama, so that when things go a different way from their hopes, they aren't able to let go cleanly and they cling. And all arrogance is clinging. That's all it is. The penitent one, though, the penitent one trusts in every situation that occurs, and they trust so entirely in it that their action emerges correctly. And others may not like you. They may not agree with you. They won't understand you. Who understands deep surrender? Really, only another penitent. I wrote a poem once after I received a humbling. It's a very short and simple poem. I hope you'll forgive me for reading it. It's called The Punchline. The punchline. Everyone here is lost and looking for home. I fell on my arse and everyone saw. Once you've fallen down, as long as you don't get up again, you can't fall again. For pity's sake, just stay down. It's so pleasant down here. It's so nice and quiet. I can see up all the girls' skirts. I can see in all the boys' hearts. We're all just wandering children. The only time we actually really talk is when two of us happen to fall on our asses next door to each other. And then from our new vantage, we look up together, laughing, at ourselves, at our good fortune, and the irony that those above pity us, and we pity them that never fall. For they will only ever hear the beginning of the joke and miss the wonderful news that our suffering is the punchline. Life is about letting go, the spiritual life even more so. To live life right out of the fires of your heart, you will be humbled and humbled over and over again. And this is the beauty of a life lived at that level of consciousness. You enter another dimension. You learn to bow to life, not out of resignation, but from deep trust. It's important to understand the difference between surrendering out of resignation and surrendering out of trust. You resign with reluctance. You accept the situation, but it never penetrates your heart. But trust includes regret, but it also transforms regret. The regret becomes a part of you. A life with no regrets is a life lived without risk, without totality. So regrets become a part of the sadness that your heart contains. And the heart contains sadness and joy in equal measure. So this siddhi, this gene key, asks you to reconsider your life from the deepest place. This is the codon ring of no return. You can't turn back. Regret is part of the journey. We have to make difficult decisions and they're a part of our dharma, but we must learn to make them in the spirit of surrender, of deep listening and trust. And then we'll learn what it means to be truly humble. Because life will have given us the gift of penitence through its grace. And sometimes grace is gentle, and sometimes grace is fierce. And we must bow to both cuts and trust that the spirit inside us will not only prevail, but will thrive and dance and soar as we learn to live without expectations and without fear.